Hey there, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Checking in with you on this Wednesday. Welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. If you're one of my regular folk, I so appreciate your time, your energy, and your support. Couple of quick announcements before I get into today's reading. What the guides led me to for you all is this Sunday, August 2nd, 5 p.m. I'll do a separate post about it, but this is just to give you a heads up. I will be having our private members only Zoom meeting. So for those of you who may not know about this, you can check the description box below and it'll give you a link for how to join my membership here on the channel. And one of the bonus offerings that I have there is I meet privately on via Zoom with the members once a month. Try to do it, stick to a schedule the first Sunday of the month around 5 p.m., which is what it's going to be this month. So if you're interested, please do join, and then you'll contact me, email me at touchbytarot@gmail.com. Show me proof of your membership, your user ID, or something to that effect, and I'll send you the link. The link is reusable every month, the same link. So once you get it as a member, save that because it'll be the same link every time we get together on Zoom. All right. Hope to see you there. Hope you can make it. And I will do another post. Second thing I want to let you all know about is cannot let this Lionsgate portal go by without doing a workshop, you all. This is a 8 on top of 8. When you reduce numerically August 8th, which we're already in the portal energy, but the height of it, the peak of it is the 8th, which happens to be a Saturday. So Spirit was like, do the workshop, Afefe. So Saturday, August 8th, 5 p.m. I'm going to do a Lionsgate portal workshop. We're going to get into some quantum shifting, quantum reality. We're going to get into some activation. Like the energy is just way too powerful for to not take advantage of this, right? To not talk about some ways and put some, theory and practice. If you've ever taken one of my workshops, I'm big on, trying to take a bigger concept sometimes and break it down into something that's more simple and something that you can use in our everyday lives. So really looking forward to that. Please check the link in the description box for that as well, how to sign up for the class. It will be recorded. If you can't attend live on Zoom that day, on August 8th at 5 p.m., it'll be recorded. So you can always get the replay, so you're straight that way. Definitely, it's going to be a good one. I'm hyped. I mean, I love doing workshops anyway, but I'm hyped for this one just because of all the collective, it's like the cosmos is like, yo, listen up, y'all, don't let this pass you by, okay? So again, check the description box for the link to how to register, or you can go to my website, trulytouchedbytarot.com. Go to the book online page, the tab, it'll say book online. You'll see the class listed, and then you just select August 8th as the date. My website, I got to work on it, but you select August 8th, and then you'll be able to book from there. Only $35. I'd love to have you. This is going to be a good one, y'all. All right, that's it. Let's get down to some business. All right. Had a few people reach out to me. It was a little alarming yesterday. We heard that a federal court ruled sort of in favor of the DOJ and the Trump administration around mail-in ballots, right? But we're also hearing, don't hit the panic button, because we're hearing that this is not a wholesale, that they're going to be able to stop mail-in balloting. From what I understand when I did my research, was that essentially what the court said was that the opposition to that, the Democrats lawsuit trying to stop any efforts by this administration to do it, that it was a little premature and there wasn't enough proof yet of what the plans were. But so that even though the court ruled technically in favor of the administration, they also ruled with a caveat, basically saying, however, if you proceed down this route, you could be legally challenged. This could be illegal, etc., etc. So, of course, we heard some of the, sensationalists online, sounding the alarm. Oh my God, mail-in balloting is done, but it's not. It's just it's in limbo, and it gives this administration and Trump et al. Permission to continue to try and throw a monkey wrench into it. But I do want to take a look at Postmaster General, Post Office, USPS Postmaster General has been crying broke and talking about deliveries to more rural areas starting to slow down. I do want to take a look and see if, in fact, these efforts to at the very least, slow down mail-in balloting, put people's, confidence in that system, tilt it off just enough that folks are like, well, forget it. I either just won't vote or I have to go vote in person. I do want to take a look at that because, Spirit, is that going to hurt the GOP? The USPS Postmaster General, if they slow down mail-in ballots, if they try to cooperate with Trump, does that ultimately hurt their base? You got a whole lot of MAGA-centric folks in some of these rural red counties. 5 of Cups, there's some struggle around it. The struggle and in Cups, the flow. So the flow of information, the flow of ballots being sent out, they are going to do that. The post office, regardless of trying to stop mail-in balloting, slowdowns, misplaced, don't know what happened to it. We have the Chariot. All right. I'm glad to see that because ultimately people are going to demand. There's going to be a whole lot of hoopla if people do not receive their mail-in ballots. And I'm getting, Spirit, is this largely GOP voters, especially those in the MAGA base, those in southern states, rural counties, Messenger of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. Yes. This is them mobilizing and saying, hey, we get that you were trying to stop these radical leftists from voting, but we want to vote, and we don't want to have to drive 2 hours to a voting poll, a polling station to do it. And the 2 of Wands, exactly. So there's going to be increased momentum. 2 of Wands is a focused forward card, right? And it's building momentum. I think we're going to see a lot of pressure and blowback by people who would be impacted by these decisions by the post office to slow things down. Ultimately, and we've got the Empress, absolutely, that's a confirmation. That's the people. That's families. That's how the system is supposed to work technically, with mail-in balloting, the reliance upon it, the dependability of it, that mail-in ballots have been proven over and over and over again that it's legit and it works. So that's why the Empress is coming. I think it's going to be protected with the Empress coming, you all. I think ultimately mail-in balloting is going to be protected. And to the extent that the post office, the Postmaster General, who's, a buddy of Trump's, tries to do some, we'll just slow things down a little bit, they're going to catch HE double hockey sticks for that. All right. So don't press the panic button about mail-in balloting. 2 of Pentacles. There is going to be some sort of cooperative effort to make sure that people get it. Trump administration is not going to slow it down. Queen of Pentacles, I'm not sure who that is. This could be somebody being very vocal about it, about the need for them, and the 9 of Wands, fighting for it, being persistent about it. So I'm getting a little bit of Elizabeth Warren vibes here for some reason. But in other words, the eyes are on the Postmaster General, eyes are on the USPS, regardless of what happens with Trump and the DOJ trying to push it from a legal standpoint. Bottom line is, it is the law. You're supposed to send those ballots out. You're supposed to process those ballots when they come in. And there's somebody who's going to be at the helm of that and holding the post office's feet to the fire. If they do not cooperate, Spirit, would there be prosecutions? And is the Postmaster General aware of, does he realize he's walking? Didn't even have to work hard for it, y'all. There it is, justice. Okay, so yeah, let's stay calm, right? I'll get to the chin up later in the video for those of you who are usually with me, right? Chin up, Okay, Postmaster General knows he may want nothing more than to comply with Trump's desire to do away with mail-in balloting, but legally he cannot make that happen, and if he does, he faces some repercussions, and he's aware of that. All right. Second thing I want to look at. So, none other than BB himself is here in the U.S. There was a lot of talk about how we know ICC has said, hey, you can grab him anywhere, anytime he crosses some space. He went through apparently 4 different countries, and nobody grabbed him. All right, we get it. And now he's in some cushy quarters in D.C. that Trump has arranged for him, but he is making no secret of the fact that he is basically taking over for Trump. We saw the videos yesterday. I hope you did of during the Lindsey Graham service that you see Netanyahu standing there in a little tight circle with Marco Rubio on one side of him and Pete Hegseth on the other. Trump nowhere to be found. Last we saw, he was over in a seat, fast asleep. Practically some drool coming out of his mouth for entertainment purposes only. So he was nowhere in the frame. Netanyahu was standing there like looking at, doing the finger at pointing his finger at Hegseth and Rubio, like, you do the, and blah 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 blah, like, ooh, to be a fly on the wall, and have overheard that conversation. But what we also know is last night Netanyahu met with JD Vance separately. Today he is scheduled to meet with Pete Hegseth, or Kegsbreath, as many of you call him, separately. What's up with that? Why are you, and we're also hearing that, we understand that, in his usual style, that Trump is kind of teed off with Netanyahu because Netanyahu is calling the shots. And Netanyahu is like, I want a meeting with you. I want a meeting with you. You can go somewhere and go to sleep or go post and do your delusional AI posts or whatever. Spirit. Is Netanyahu giving orders to Hegseth? They're talking about now this Pickaxe Mountain in Iran, where the nuclear stuff, excuse me for being so technical, the nuclear materials are up to, I think I wrote it down, 2,000 feet below ground. This is where the Operation Hammer last summer, that they said, oh, we got it all, and then come to find out they didn't get hardly anything. Well, that's what Pickaxe Mountain is apparently what we're hearing, that Netanyahu is giving a directive to Hegseth and the U.S. This is the next phase. This is what we got to go after, okay? Spirit, is Netanyahu dishing the orders? Is he the one who's really in charge? Has he essentially parked front to the side, and Hegseth is taking direction from Netanyahu? Is what we seeing what we seeing? We have the 6 of Swords, conversations being had with the world. I never ignore major arcana if I see it on the bottom of the deck, with the world. So this is ultimately, this is a plan to bring it to the end. Netanyahu realizes that he's on a clock in terms of America's and even Congress at some point willingness to continue to go along with this absurdity, okay, and the horrors of it. So Six of Swords is talking about making a plan to end it, the world. That's what ultimately that, and what is it going to take to end it? Spirit. So is Netanyahu selling the Pickaxe Mountain as the ultimate? If you do that, we can call it quits. Magician. There we go. That's the plan. Netanyahu's trying to set, look, you got to go big, and we got to go get this, because that's the only way that he will agree, Netanyahu will agree to say, okay, thank you so much, U.S., for giving your all to us and basically fighting this thing for us on our behalf. We got what we wanted. Magician. And the Hangman. They ain't gonna get what they want. And here's why. Pickaxe Mountain aside, we understand that China has agreed to send hundreds of shoulder-held missiles to Iran. They've already, a contract has gone through Hong Kong, from what I understand. 60 to $70 million contract. So they're on the way. Missiles from China are on their way, per an agreement that was signed, we're hearing, in Hong Kong. But these missiles, so shoulder-held missiles, because we know up until now, Iran has relied very much on the Russian-backed technology of drones, right? That's what they've been using. So they're upping their equipment on the way, these missiles on the way from China. Meanwhile, we had Zelensky in town, in DC, for the Lindsey Graham funeral as well. And we understand Zelensky had like a hero's welcome in Congress. They passed overwhelmingly the Lindsey Graham bill around sanctions against Russia. And what Zelensky is saying and asking for, and saying essentially is, listen, I know you're having a time of it in Iran. We've been doing our thing with this drone situation against Russia. I'm willing to help you, U.S. I'm willing to help you with our drone technology and capabilities in return for your missile capabilities. We need more missiles. We can't do it all with drones. So that's the deal. We understand that, whereas early last year, that horrible scene in the Oval Office where Trump told, with everybody else sitting there, Trump told Zelensky, you don't have none of the cards. Well, one thing about them tables will flip, right? And the tables have turned, the tables have flipped, and Zelensky is the man right now. And Spirit, are they going to, is the U.S., is the Trump administration going to work with Zelensky? Are they going to give him the missiles he wants in return for drones? Because right now we understand drones, from the figures that I saw, drones are running at about $20,000 per drone versus, it was a crazy amount, $5 million per missile, 20,000 per drone in use in combat, 5 million per missile. So do the math, right? And the U.S. is running out, the stockpiles, we've heard about that. Spirit. Is Trump going to have to eat humble pie? Is he eating humble pie with Zelensky, who holds all the cards to get those drones? Because the U.S. does not have the hardware. They don't have the missiles. We have the two I can't ignore it because it's a major arcana. They call it temptation. It's the devil in this deck with the Two of Swords. He will never admit it. Trump will never admit it, that he's eating humble pie. Like, who holds the cards now? He's going to try and spin it that even though he wants to do this deal, devil chain, he's bound to figure out some way to get out of this situation with the war. So that's the chain that's binding him. And he's trying, but he wants to try and spin it, Two of Swords, like a choice that he has to make, but he's conflicted about it. He doesn't want to do it in a way that makes it apparent that Zelensky is holding the cards. Nine of Cups, exactly. He knows that the will of the people, and the Six of Earth, negotiation and working with Zelensky. And the Nine of Cups, because that's people don't want this. And he knows that. As delusional as Trump is, he knows that. Hegseth knows that as well. And that, again, going back to the prior reading that Spirit showed us, what's happening between Netanyahu and Kegsbreth, we'll call him that, Rubio, all of them. When he speaks to them, the goal, he knows he's on a clock. He knows that the U.S. can only stay in this for so long. Economically, the whole thing about bodies not being accurately counted, Spirit, and the Six of Swords. Gonna be figured out. They're going to work this deal with Zelensky. Of course, Trump is going to try and work it in a way that makes him look heroic rather than giving Zelensky credit for actually coming to the aid of the U.S. in this matter. And the Page of Earth. So it's a new era in the negotiations and the relationship between the tide has done, like who holds the cards. This Page of Earth is showing in a real way the tide has shifted, and this is a new era in the relationship between the two entities. It's just that Trump will never, Trump is never gonna end the Eight of Cups because he's over it. This is Trump, and we know, we've heard his heart ain't been in it. After the first hurrah earlier in the year where he said, "Listen, we're gonna go in for a couple of days, blow everything up, and it'll be done." He's not in it, and he feels himself exiting. I saw some things about insiders have been saying that this Lindsey Graham passing has really gotten to him. Mitch McConnell, we'll deal with that a little bit later. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. How they're running with that situation. Like, clearly, if he is still alive, he's in some sort of state that he cannot speak or be seen, and the idea that people are making this up, but we'll deal with that. That's coming to a head next week, I feel, one way or another. But in the meantime, this Lindsey Graham passing has got Trump afraid. Two of Earth, Two of Pentacles, and the Magician, and the Chariot passing on. He sees his mortality, even though he tries to pretend to be immortal. He sees his mortality. He really did have a relationship with Graham to the extent that he has a real relationship with anybody, right? Only when it's expedient for him. But the Magician and the Chariot, the fact that Lindsey's gone, and he's gone like that out of nowhere. Like one day he was here and the next day he wasn't. It's shaken him. It's shaken Trump. And King of Air, that's him. That's him in diminished state. Sometimes I see him as the Emperor, but Gemini, King of Swords, that's him. It's messed his head up because he's recognizing, he sees his own demise, and the Page of Cups. He sees his own demise. He's reaching for somebody else to help him feel invincible, like anybody that can help him feel invincible. And I also feel like this is around some sort of even new medications that they're putting him on. We know that they're giving him who knows what, but he's looking for even newer and different methods to try and keep him around, because this has messed him up. All right, you all. So keep your eyes on what comes next around the Iran situation and around this Pickaxe Mountain. It looks like that's what Netanyahu. Those are the orders that Keg's Breath and company are getting around that. Rubio's gonna sit back and just let it happen. Clearly, right? JD Vance. The conversation with JD Vance was, I'm sure, interesting. Let me just look at that really quick before I close out, because JD took a lot of heat for being, I guess, the only cabinet member who said this is not a good idea, and us just giving carte blanche to Israel to continue to fight this war is not the way to go. He was isolated for that. He got some kickback for that. Vance did. Spirit, the meeting between Netanyahu and JD Vance, how did that really go? Was there an understanding between the two of them that was reached? Is JD going to do another chameleon-like move and suddenly justify why support for Israel is the best thing ever? King of Cups, Messenger of Cups, Knight of Cups, and the Sun. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot to it, you all. There was On the surface, the meeting between Netanyahu and Vance was all about, listen, we all want to succeed here. We all want to look good together. Let's all get along and be mature. King of Cups. It was a conversation filled with pleasantries, because I think Netanyahu is keenly aware that should something happen and Trump exit stage left, well, that's who he has to deal with. He's got to deal with Vance. And there's the world. Yeah, that's what that was about. He was just setting the stage that he has some sort of lines of communication open. It wasn't about Vance changing his position necessarily, but it was about expediency and Netanyahu saying, okay, I've gotta, my main people are Rubio and Kegsbreath to do what I want to have done right now. But I need to keep Vance on the line, essentially, is what that was about. That's all that water energy. All right, you all. Woo! Chin up. Shoulders back. I'll see you back here on Friday. Keep breathing. Keep your hearts believing, right? Have faith in skies above and the earth beneath, keeping us solid, right? Keeping us solid. Please consider joining me for that workshop on August 8th, the whole chin up, shoulders back, like keeping our energy. And especially right now, like I said, it's like the cosmos is in the background cheering for us, like, you got this. It's hard, it's crazy, it's unprecedented, it's historic. But hey, all of us are here. We signed up to be here, apparently still in this moment in time, right? So there is a reason for that. And there are things that we can do to adapt and keep going, right? We ain't getting dragged. We're in the driver's seat and we're ready to keep going, all right? I thank you all so very much and I appreciate you so very much. I'll talk to you a little bit later. Bye.